I was a counselor in Camp Agudah in 1953. And Mike Tress had a meeting with the counselors, and he spoke to us, inspired us. And I remember one phrase that he said, Agudah Yisrael is Klal Yisrael. Agudah Yisrael's mission was to do whatever was necessary.
In the book about Mike Tress, it talks about Camp Agudah. And it talks about how Mike Tress went to the settlement house called the Toynbee House as a kid. And for 2 weeks, they took him to a camp. And that's when he decided he has to open up a camp. He knew how much he got from that. Could you imagine to take Jewish kids?
I started out in Camp Agudah many, many years ago, even before it was in Ferndale. I was in a place called High Mount.
High Mount looked like it's, I would say, a real old-time yeshivish camp.
That's what it looked like. Everything was broken down, everything was broken. It was the last years of High Mount, but the Ruach was not shaykh.
Camp Agudah by Shal Shudas, there was such dancing.
Singing at the top of our lungs, going around inspiring the boys to sing. And many of them came from secular homes. They never sang Zmiris in their lives.
Well, the camp was based on leaders, like I mentioned, Mike Tress, Rabbi Scherer, Charlie Young, Rabbi Borchardt, Rabbi Teitelbaum, Josh Silverman, who were the epitome of a serious nefesh, who felt that they're living for the purpose of being ma'abed kavod shemayim.
Everybody knows that Rabbi Belsky was famous for knowing the constellations and the entire sky. I was there at the inception. We went out that night, and we all lay on blankets, and he had a book in front of him with a flashlight, and he pointed out to us the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper.
A camp which was made up probably about 25% public school kids, and the rest yeshiva kids.
When it came a day off, we knew that there was a Rosh Yeshivas 2 miles away in Fleischmann. We hitched for 2 miles from High Mount to Fleischmann's, and there was a very nice day. Baron Kotler Zatzal, Kapishitzer Rebbe Zatzal, and more such people.
I believe in my heart that Camp Agudah was a training ground for many, many great leaders in Klal Yisrael.
My growth as a mechanach I owe to none other than Camp Agudah.
I remember once had Rabbi Silver come from Cincinnati. So they made up a song, you know, Rabbi Silver's coming soon in the early afternoon. Make sure you look your very best, hurry up and get dressed. We heard that song, he gave free soda for the whole camp.
I remember one time he came and we lined up so he could review the troops, so to speak. And all of a sudden we heard music coming from the microphone. A few years before, he had taught a niggin to camp, Mipnei ma yordon nesom lamata. And as he was standing there looking at us, somebody started to sing it and imitate him completely on the mic. Rabbi Borchardt was standing there terrified, and so was Rabbi Scherer. They wondered what his reaction was going to be. Well, when this young fella, when he finished the song and he came out, Rabbi Lezer asked, who is the one who sang? Wer hat das gesungen? And they had no choice, but they had to point out this young fella. So Lezer called him over, and they didn't know what his reaction would be. And he said, Has verfehlt der Knetsch, you missed the part of the song. And he sang it for him, and then he made this fella go back on the microphone and sing it all over again the correct way.
The thing about camp was, it was mole ruchnius and it was mole gashmius, and it was just a fun place to be.
The first time a counselor got paid was in 1956. Till then we worked gratis. The salary was $25 a summer.
When I was in camp, they didn't advertise Ruach Country, but we lived Ruach Country.
We had the famous Ruach Country spirit that inflamed me and got me going.
There was just a kedusha in the air.
The Ruach Country was born in our years that was there. It started off with as a little joke that just picked up and picked up. Guys went out there, bought a t-shirt, Ruach Country, we're from Ruach Country, and then it just picked up.
Camp What made me into a mechanech? First of all, I looked up to these great people, Reb Simcha Kaufman and Zisha Heschel.
These were mechanchim. These were people that you enjoyed being around.
In 1960, I got a job as the pantry boy. After Rabbi Borchardt felt it was running the Agudah and running camp was too much for him, I think Rabbi Kaufman mentioned my name to Rabbi Borchardt, who mentioned it to Rabbi Shera, who interviewed me.
It became my childhood again, all over again. See, I never totally grew up.
I started as a camper, 1969. I was 7 years old. Well, Zisha Heschel was a legend already then. He would chase us every Sunday and every Shabbos that we didn't learn enough. We knew how to hide, but he knew how to catch us. And Rabbi Borchardt Oliver Shalom did not let night swim. I still remember this. He did not let night swim. So Zorch one year decided that we're having night rowing in the pool. He put 22 kids in a boat, told them you have to be in a bathing suit. Within 2 seconds, all the boats turned over and we had night swim.
Rabbi Kaufman himself was a master at trying to teach us how to live life. He wasn't just a mechanech. His job as the head counselor of Camp Agudah was to teach us the skills of living life as a Torah Yid.
Someone had to teach these people, you have a great potential. You are a Klal Yisrael. You're alive. You have a Torah. You gotta have yeshivas. We'll help the yeshivas. Who is leading all of this? The president of the Agudah Yisrael of America, Harav Moshe Shara.
I came here because I want to share nachas. I love Camp Agudah.
Certainly we were Agudah Echos. It was a conglomeration of all different types of children, but all with one goal, having a great time together. Camp Agudah was such a special place. These are part of these things, that everybody was welcome in camp, all kinds of children, and we all were one big group. But the Gedolim.
Just seeing Gedolim coming and the way Matzah like they say, was something that we looked forward to.
This wonderful activity of Camp Agudah, which conveys to us in a nutshell what we all stand for, what the ideal of Agudah is.
Watching Rav Gifter and Rav Ruderman sitting on beach chairs about 2 feet from each other, engaging in a spirited, almost heated discussion about Torah and about life.
I think one of the things that stands out in my mind was the constant Gedolim coming every single weekend.
Till today, I can't forget the look of seeing a person with that kind of aura, that kind of holiness.
Starting from the top, we had Rabbi Balsky on grounds, Rabbi Kauf, and Rabbi Karfel, Rabbi Wolf. We had heavy hitters there, and really who made the largest impact were always my counselors. These guys were fine B'nai Torah and very, very geschmack. They were really able to make a big impact on me.
When else are you supposed to learn responsibility? When you're already thrown into real life, when you're 25 or 30? You do it when you're a teenager, it becomes part of you. It becomes something that you take with you.
Our counselors were our friends, our role models, and in a certain way, our Rebbe, all packaged in one. They were fun, they were exciting, and they knew how to have a great time, but they were B'nai Torah.
In a great sense, it was the highlight of the summer.
I remember his pep talks. Come on, guys, we can do it. We're gonna do it.
Remember when I was College General, if my kids didn't do perfectly, I'd kill them. My group knew every answer perfect.
Maybe it's the wrong word to use, but Kalua was filled with Kedusha.
was, even though we were competing against each other, there was so much friendship and love and caring for each other.
By the time Cold War was over, the entire camp was so close. To me, the highlight of any time at camp, both teams go, they line up, one team at a time, and they do their grand march. At the end of the march, Rabbi Kaufman used to get on the microphone, both teams together and say, "Well, now unite, like we're going to welcome Mashiach, because if we have unity, we're not going to welcome Mashiach." But I mamish felt we could bring Mashiach then. You felt it.
Meir has made Jewish camping into what it is today. He really took Camp Agudah from what it was way back when, changed it, constantly reinvesting in it.
To Meir, the most important thing was the bottom line. And his bottom line was, how can you make the camp better and better and better?
Meir really was the driving force in everything that went on in camp. He wasn't visible. His hand was visible in everything that went on. He wasn't there to get credit because he wanted to do whatever he could for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for his Torah, and for Klal Yisrael.
All the camps follow Agudah for everything. Everything that started in any camp started in Agudah.
It was the pioneer of these things. No other camp had these, the Dolim coming to camp.
There was nothing like it. I tell you the truth. Again, I love all camps, but that was the only place I would send my kids.
The Eibishter blessed me that I was able to hire staff that were always top-notch and always did the best jobs that they could and be creative, and we created probably the #1 camp.
When Mashiach comes, there'll be the Suda of Leviathan. And I think the feature of Sudas Leviathan will be Shalosh Sudas in Camp Agudah.
The same mission, it's the same goal. We're taking boys that are in yeshiva, we're being makar of them, we're giving them the sweetness and the geschmack of Yiddishkeit, of being a Ben Torah.
I think of Camp Agudah, it's not the buildings, it's the people that were there. And I'll never forget those people.